Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Bible study. Hope you're having a great day today. And today we're going to start a new series, and this series will last for 3 weeks. We're going to be covering Matthew 5, 6, and 7 over the next 3 weeks. And some of you may already know that this is the Sermon on the Mount. So we're going to try to condense it down into our 3 to 5 minute daily devotionals and for every day so that it makes it easy to listen to and you can get something out of it and then go about your day and maybe come back and study it later on. So, what is the Sermon on the Mount? Sermon on the Mount, Matthew 5 through 7, is Jesus's definitive teaching on kingdom living, summarizing what it means to follow him. It challenges conventional wisdom by elevating internal purity over outward compliance, redefining righteousness, and providing practical instructions for prayer, trusting God, and treating others. So, we're going to be covering this week in this next 4 parts, chapter 5, and this highlights the character of the kingdom. Today, we'll be covering the Beatitudes, and this is Jesus's outlines 8 character traits of the kingdom's citizens, such as being poor in spirit, meek, and merciful, and promises them deep, transcendent joy. Tomorrow, part 2, we'll talk about salt and light, and then part 3, fulfilling the law, and then part 4, the 6th antithesis. So I'm anxious to get started here. Let's get right into it. So the Beatitudes, this is Matthew 5, verses 3 through 12, and you can follow me along here. This is Jesus talking. He says, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when people insult you, persecute you, and falsely say all kinds of evil things against you because of me. Rejoice and be glad, because great is your reward in heaven. For in the same way they are persecuted the prophets who were before you." And I think that's just a powerful, powerful talk by Jesus there, teaching. So, what does he mean by the poor in spirit here in verse 3? This acknowledges the spiritual bankruptcy and complete reliance on God rather than self sufficiency. Blessed are the poor in spirit. And then in verse 4, he says, "Those who mourn, experiencing deep sorrow, whether for personal sins or for the brokenness of the world, and finding comfort in God's grace. The meek," in verse 5, exhibiting gentleness, humility, and strength under control, trusting God rather than exerting power over others. What does he mean by the hunger and thirst for righteousness? This talks about having intense desire for justice, moral goodness, and a right relationship with God. And then he goes on to talk about the merciful. "And blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy." This is about showing compassion, forgiveness, and grace to others, which mirrors God's own mercy, his own mercy toward us. And then he goes on to talk about the pure in heart in verse 8, possessing sincere, undivided devotion and pure motives, free of hypocrisy. The peacemakers in verse 9, he talks about actively resolving conflict and promoting harmony and reflecting the character of God every day. Verses 10 through 12, he talks about the persecuted, enduring mistreatment or insults for doing what is right. Jesus assures us that enduring this suffering guarantees a place in heaven and aligns us with the prophets of the past. There is a little deeper meaning to this. I think that Jesus is redefining what it means to be successful in worldly times. And if we follow along here, we'll be successful because we'll be reflecting God's grace and God's mercy and righteousness at the whole time. So I know that was a quick rundown on Matthew chapter 5, this portion of it. So we'll do a little bit more tomorrow, and we'll be talking about salt and light. Thanks a lot, everyone, and have a great day.